Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, I am doing something I honestly never thought I'd do again, and that is providing you with a review for a new Transformers Masterpiece figure. Now, I haven't collected a single Masterpiece toy since the Masterpiece Dinobot from several years ago, and that's mainly because of the rising cost of these figures and increasing focus on cartoon accuracy, which in turn raises the cost because they have to do all sorts of crazy extra engineering to, make the impossible somewhat possible. But then they came along with this, a Masterpiece Combiner. Honestly, never thought we'd see the day, but we have a new subline of Masterpiece called MPG, or Masterpiece Gattai. Gattai being a genre term that focuses on the act of fusing two entities together. Often in Japanese pop culture, this is two, giant mechs or robots merging together in some way. So Gattai is a very apt term for a combiner. And this is Masterpiece Shouki. Now, the reason I caved and decided to go in on this is because we have not had any updates to the Trainbots, of which Shouki is a part, and their combined form Raiden since the original G1 toy, at least not in any official capacity. There have been some recent third-party updates, but, I currently don't collect third-party, so this is what we get as far as Hasbro and Takara are concerned. Now, would I have preferred if they released these at a Generations, price point and scale? Yes, because Masterpiece toys are expensive. But I'm also not very confident that we're going to be getting a Generations Raiden or Trainbots anytime soon. So I decided to go in on this. Shouki is the first one being released, and he is the leader of the Trainbots, forming the chest portion of the Raiden Combiner. And he's interesting because they're going really hard for train accuracy. In fact, his train mode is an authentic HO scale model train, which is a 1/87th scale train. So that's kind of the big focus. And that has a lot of people, including myself, a little skeptical about this. When the alt mode is, the primary focus of a toy, how is the robot mode, and especially a combined mode, going to turn out? But I have some faith in Takara and their engineers. They put out some good stuff. So I'm going in on this. Probably regret it later when I, see my bank account just plummet over the course of the next year or two. But let's have some fun along the way. That being said, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Shouki's packaging, then we're going to open it up. I'm sure there's going to be a really nice instruction booklet, maybe even like a little storybook or something in there, because it is a Masterpiece toy, so we'll get a look at that. And then, of course, we'll see Shouki himself in both vehicle and robot modes. I'll also be showing off the transformation and finished product of his combiner chest mode. I'll be doing some group shots and comparisons today, especially to show the scale of this guy. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So Shouki comes in a very long and thin Transformers Masterpiece box. You get some really nice photos of the figure in train and robot modes right on the front. And then the robot mode kind of wraps around the top. You get the Transformers MPG logo in nice, foil silver coloring, which is nice. Your Takara Tomy logo right here. You get MPG-01, so he's the first of this Gattai subline. Seibertron Trainbot's leader, Trainbot Shouki. So, it's an interesting prospect, right? Because right now, we're just getting the Trainbots from this, and we don't have anything really to compare them to on the Generation side, because they haven't been touched since G1. And I don't know how successful this line is going to be and how willing Takara is going to be to keep it going. Because once we get all, 6 of the Trainbots created and we get our Raiden, what comes next? Are we going to start seeing Masterpiece, Bruticus or Superion? The possibilities are really out there. And I do wonder if Takara is really going to commit to going all in on these very big, high-end, expensive combiners. That really will put them in competition with these big third-party companies that love making combiners. And we'll finally get to see, a what if on what if Takara made their own MP scale combiners. So, pretty exciting prospect. Okay, so we turn this to the side. We get another shot of Shouki's robot mode and his name and everything again. Here we get the train mode, which is pretty nice. Oh, it comes with a track too. So 2 track segments that the train can ride on, and it can interlock with the track segments for the other Trainbots. We get to see the contents right here. You get the train, you get the chest piece for Raiden, the 2 train tracks, a gun. What are these little things here? Not quite sure what these little pieces are. You got your instructions, and it looks like a collectible card the old Masterpiece toys had. So very cool. All right, I don't read Japanese, so I can't tell you what any of this stuff says for the most part. But we have, a picture of the train right here. It's probably talk about the train mode and the scale and everything. It says 0. I don't know why it says 0. 0 is kind of an alternative name for the O scale of model trains, and this is HO, which is half of that. In fact, the H is half O. So I don't know, maybe Japan names it differently or something. Or I'm just misreading that, and that 0 is referring to something else entirely. All right, so this talks about his weapon, full posability. That's a scale, so they're kind of showing you how he scales against other MPs. He's a little bit bigger than like a Carbot MP, which I would say would be rather underscaled considering he turns into a train. But remember, they go by cartoon, so he might turn into a big old train, but in robot mode may only be about as tall as your standard Autobot. I honestly don't remember enough about the Trainbot scenes in the Headmasters anime to really remember how they compare to the others, but I imagine it's probably something along these lines. All right, here's a big old blurb right there. Shows the vehicle mode front and back. Shows the cockpit, which can seat a like Masterpiece scale human figure, and apparently can also seat the pilot figures from the current ongoing Diaclone reboot line. So, a little bit of cross compatibility since the Trainbots were originally Diaclone toys. And then over here in this corner says Gattai Mode, or Combiner Mode, and this just shows that he does indeed form the chest of Raiden. So pretty cool stuff. It's been quite a while since I've looked at an MP box. Oh yeah, you also get like a black and white image of him, like sub-imposed here behind all the color images. Bunch of Japanese stuff. So yeah, pretty neat. As always, the Masterpiece packaging is very nice. They really try to sell the whole premium look of these figures, which, for the most part, I think they convey it pretty well. But, as always, despite how nice this box is, I'm not an inbox collector, so let's open this up. Okay, so here's our instruction book for Shouki. You can see the MPG logo, his number, his name, all that right here. Go ahead and open all this up. It's going to be a big one. All right, so this first bit is just the part layout again. Pretty cool there. Then we get a little bit of, I guess, kind of background info on Shouki. Again, I can't read Japanese text, sorry. But this just kind of compares the Toys Robot mode to that of the cartoon. And then the Flying Train mode, which, well, don't worry, we'll get a good look at that, to the Flying Train in the cartoon. Looks at the train and robot modes, just, photos of them. Look at the chess mode against the silhouette of Raiden, which may or may not actually look like that when it's complete. And then we get a whole bunch of stuff here. So the first thing we get is a couple of how-tos for storing either the Raiden chess piece all folded up inside of the front of the train, or, and closing it up, installing tracks, combining them, setting the train on them, hiding the weapon underneath the train, and then what is this? This is this is showing you how to attach him to other trains using the hitch in the back. All right, and then we get this look at how to place the seats inside the front of the train and put a figure on the seats. Close back up. Then we get a look at, sorry, this is like too big for my setup here. We get a good look at modifying the train to achieve this flight mode. Then we finally get into the transformation, which goes all the way to the bottom and then continues on the other side. Oh, this is big. So you can see all that. Pretty intricate transformation, which finally ends right here. This shows you weapon storage in the robot mode. This shows you how to flare out his back kibble and give him some additional armaments. How to use the Raiden chest piece as a shield, which is very cool. How to store it in his back, which is the same way you do it for train mode. And then how to transform him from robot to the combiner chest mode, complete with attaching it to a flight stand. So quite a bit here, which, you'd expect. It's a Masterpiece toy, and it's a combiner component. So you have to have, vehicle to robot, and then robot to combiner, or sometimes vehicle to combiner, depending on the toy. So quite a bit, plus, there's a lot of accessories to show off, a lot of hidden features. So very, very beefy bit of instructions. And for fun, let's go ahead and look at his card, little collectible card that it comes with, just like all the other MPs. So really nice artwork of Shouki right here in the robot and train modes. Again, you get his number and name and all that. And then on the back, you get some tech specs down here, which are pretty cool. Shows that his speed is incredibly high at a 10, and his courage is also very, very high. His rank's only 4. I could have sworn he was the leader of the Trainbot, so kind of a weird number for him to have. And I'm guessing this is some sort of like biometric info, but again, I can't read it, sorry. So very, very cool. I haven't seen one of these in quite some time now. And yeah, so that's everything that comes with him. Now let's look at the actual toy. All right, now here we get everything out of the package. So we get our train, Shouki right there. We get 2 track segments, this little clear adapter piece, which I will show you guys the purpose of in a moment. These little blue pieces that I couldn't make out of the box are actually seats for the front of the train. We get Shouki's blaster and Raiden's chest armor, which can conveniently fold up. This little thing. So the first thing I want to show you guys is assembling the train tracks. Now technically these can go either way. They can, they go this way, this way. I'm going to let you in a little secret. The way you want to attach these is to have these 2 little holes here, these slots, close to each other. There's a reason for that. All right, so we get a nice assembled train track, which obviously has more connectors on the ends so that you can attach other trains to it. We get a good look at our train mode here, just its default mode. You can see it's got lots of windows, so there's a lot of clear plastic usage, which is always a little spooky. It is painted very well, though. Nothing very sloppy looking. You get your little front of the train here. You get headlights on the train, all that. You get your guard. And you get your wheels. Standard, like, model train type wheels. And you get a little hitch on the back so you can attach other trains to it. So very cool overall. And then, of course, it does set right on this track. And you have to make sure the wheels align nicely. Get something like that, and it'll roll very smoothly along the track. And, of course, if you are a model train collector, you probably already have other, train track pieces that you can extend this with and create something pretty cool. But for now, we get this nice little strip just to display it on or, just kind of chug it back and forth on. It's really nice. I dig that. Now, we have some options for that accessory storage that we saw in the instructions. So I'm going to show you how those work. So the first thing you want to do is very carefully pull the front section down. Get it to kind of break free. Open this up to get this. And we have a couple options here. We can lift up these little gray pieces right here out of the way. And we'll take the folded up combiner chest and attach it via the slot right here. And the slot's actually, I don't know if you can tell, but it's on like a bit of a slant to make sure that this kind of lays nice and flat once you plug it in, like so. And then you just kind of bring this back up, get your front halves more or less back together. You want them mostly back together, but not all the way, because you need kind of some clearance to make everything tab back in the way it's supposed to. This side usually takes a little more force to pop in, but it should go. There we go. Okay. Remember, don't force it too much. A lot of clear plastic. So you can close it up and store the chest armor. Now, unfortunately, this is an either-or situation. So you can either have the chest armor stowed away, or you can have the seats installed. You can't have both, which is a bit frustrating. So let's go ahead and pop this back down now. There we go. Takes a little bit of patience, but the patience is worth it because you don't want to break anything. All right, so you just kind of wriggle that free, set it aside. Then you take the seats. And I still haven't figured out, so these have these little hinges on them right here, where this like folds down. I guess, is it to maybe seat a taller or a shorter figure? Maybe? I don't know why that is the way it is. Kind of gives you like an extra little tab. But this is the normal configuration with a little tab right here just to kind of line up the legs of these minifigures. And these are identical pieces. They both have these little half circle little bits on the bottom, so they can plug into either side using these small little ports right here. So you just push them on. If you hear any fireworks in the background, that's my neighborhood. People are celebrating the 4th a little early. All right. So you get these seats, and they're cool enough on their own, but they're even better if you have someone to put in them. Well, I do. Because I happen to own the Masterpiece Ultra Magnus, which means I have a Spike Witwicky. So we can go ahead, put him in a seated position, and just put him on the seat, and you'll use that little tab just to kind of hold him on there and guide his legs, and you can have yourself a passenger. Now imagine your mileage will vary based on which character you're putting in the seat and how long their legs are. I feel like his legs might have a hard time fitting once I close everything up, but he, works well enough, looks pretty cool in there. So you can always keep a character in there if you want to. I'm going to take him out just for ease of, transformation and everything. So let's go ahead and close this back up. Again, carefully. Oh yeah, you can bring these gray bits back down now. All right, so carefully closing everything back up the way it needs to go. Kind of a multi-step movement here. Get it in there. Okay. So now we have our train, reassembled with the seats installed, making it look more realistic. Now we have some weapon storage going on. You can see this tab right here. So you take your little blaster, use the indent in the blaster just to plug it on right there. Now it will stay on, as far as just like gravity and everything, and you can still roll it with the blaster on there, but it is a pretty loose connection, so it's really easy to like bump off and have it come off. So just be aware if you're messing with it, you might have some frustration with this thing kind of moving around and falling over and everything. Just something to think about. All right, and now we show off this super secret mode right here. So this is, obviously Shouki's chest piece. So you can lift this up, turn it, push it back down, take this center panel, fold it down, and fold these side panels. And then you take that nice clear piece that we had and you plug it in right here. Now you might be wondering, what do we do with this? Well, I'm going to show you. So you take that train track and you take a Transformers Masterpiece posing stand or flight stand, and I just so happen to have one. Because, like I said, the final Masterpiece figure I bought before this one was Beast Wars Dinobot. And he was the one that originated this design right here. Now he has his own base to attach this to, but this piece right here has been reused over and over again. And look at that. It lines up with the little holes on the track. So you get to turn the track into a flight stand. And then you use this clear adapter piece to plug the train on right here. And you get a flying train, just like from the Headmaster's cartoon. How cool is that, huh? You can actually make your train fly through the air. And as we saw in the instructions, you can also use this to show off the chest mode in a way that, it's actually held up and isn't just laying flat on the ground. So this is a really, really neat touch. Now I am disappointed it doesn't come with this stand. Luckily I was just able to use one from a toy I already had. And that is like pure dumb luck, right? Like the last one I bought included this stand. I don't know if you can buy these by themselves. You might be able to, like directly from Takara, I'm not sure, or some Japanese retailer. Though I imagine if you were to use this for all 6 of your Trainbots at the same time, that would get pretty darn expensive. Alright, buckle up because now it is time to do the transformation from vehicle to robot mode, and being a combining MP, this is going to be rather involved. So the first thing you want to do is remove his blaster from the underside if you already, haven't done that. Now, as far as what you're keeping in the front of the train, whether it's the seats or the combiner chest bit, you can remove them if it makes it a little bit easier, or you can just leave them where they're at. Personally, I have the seats installed right now, and I'm just going to leave them where they are. I see no reason to remove them right now. Okay, so the first thing we're doing here, there's this little panel right here, and you want to kind of just lift up on it a little bit, break it free, and it'll lift up just a tiny, tiny bit, and that'll allow you to rotate this panel right here out, like so. And you're going to do the same exact thing on this side. rotate it out, get it out of the way. All right, you're just gonna kind of free those. Whoops. Then what you want to do is separate these halves right here. Oh, first you have to kind of pull this loose. So this little wheel bit right here, you gotta wriggle it free till it's no longer holding on to both sides, and you'll feel it kind of come free there. Now you can separate these. So separate the legs, just like so. All right, we'll start with this leg. So you want to flip this panel down and just kind of out of your way. You're gonna accordion this out a little bit. Then you're gonna rotate the thigh outward while rotating this gray piece back in. So you get that, and then finish extending the leg out. You can close this panel here. Then we are going to take the swinging bit, bring it all the way around, get out of the way. May have to, move some parts for clearance, and you're gonna push it till this little tab goes all the way in here. Now you might get some resistance that might make you think, oh, it's not gonna go all the way in, but it will. Just be very careful because these are both clear plastic. Just kind of firm, steady pressure, and you should get it to pop in like that. And you fold this little gray bit in. Next, we're gonna kind of break this little foot section free, and you're gonna wriggle it out so it's extended, and you're gonna rotate this, bring it down, make it like perpendicular with this little toe piece, and flip the toe up, bring this in, and that puts the foot together. And you just want to rotate this around, and you get one complete leg. Now this one's a little more involved because it has the wheel assembly, so you just got to be mindful of that. So you're going to fold this panel out. You're going to rotate the wheel assembly downward for now. We're going to start to accordion the leg out, like we did before. We're going to do our rotations, bringing it this way and that way. Finish bringing this guy down, kind of out of your way there. All right. This part can be a little tricky, but all right. You got to bring, finish this on the leg, bring this black panel in, and then you're going to bring the wheel section down on the black panel, and it should line up a certain way. Let's see, there we go. You'll know it once you get it. You'll kind of feel everything come together and get nice and flush like that. All right, you're gonna bring this panel in like you did on the other side, tab it in, flip this silver bit inward, get out of the way. So we're getting all this. The same thing with the foot here. Wriggle it outward until it's fully extended. Bring this guy out of the way. Rotate some foot pieces around and combine. Bring the leg back. All right, so the legs and feet are now done. Believe it or not, that was the easy part. Haha, we got plenty more fun to go. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do, we're going to bring the front section down as if we were installing the seating or the combiner chest. Bring it down out of the way for a moment. You're going to open these up like so. Get them out of the way. You're going to push these little gray bits inward. There we go. There you go. All right. Fold this back. Now we're going to do a little bit of magic here. Just a little bit. All right, so first thing we're going to do is pull this out. It extends out kind of like that chest section does when you rotate it. All right, break some things free. So this first panel needs to come off of here and come off of here. So you want to kind of wriggle it free, get it loose. This bit will actually lift up. Do the same thing on this side. Get this piece free. Bring this one up. All right. So you're gonna rotate these bits down to kind of like a diagonal, and then bring these panels up, kind of swinging them past everything. Why doesn't this one go? Something's blocking this guy. Hang on. Sorry, I'm making my table creak. It's probably annoying. All right, there we go. Flipping it up, getting everything out of the way. And these little gray panels, you're gonna flip down and use these tabs to bring the shoulders down and plug them in, like so. Same thing on this side. All right, there we go. All right, so we got all this arm stuff, you know, finally out of the way. You can go ahead and flip these panels down for now. And flip the head up. All right, now we're gonna rotate this whole thing 180. We're gonna pull out this gray piece that forms like the shoulder kibble, and we're gonna kind of work this thing. Sorry for all the creaking. Work this thing where it needs to go. And kind of go over things, and it's gonna plug into like socket underneath the head. And you just kind of work it in until you feel it. Push all the way in there. It should feel nice and steady. I'll go ahead and move this camera up. All right, so we're entering the home stretch here. So you're gonna go ahead, open up the train area, or the front of the train area. Now, you know, you can see I have the seats in. You can totally leave these in and they will not get in the way, which is really nice. All right, these little pieces, you're gonna push up. Flare everything out, make it look pretty. All right, and we got some work to do here. So you're gonna, it's like a double hinge, so you're gonna bring that down until it separates. Then you are going to bring, whoops, kind of pop the seats. Bring this up, kind of claps everything down on itself, like so. And rotate this in. And there's a little tab here, a little hook you're gonna flip down. Bring all this stuff together. What's wrong here? Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. Bring that up and bring that in. So you're getting this. And you're gonna lift this up, and this hook is gonna plug into this little section right here. And there you go. That's the back kibble. Pretty cool, huh? Not too bad looking. I mean, pretty heavy amount of kibble, but it's got a whole train, so it's gotta go somewhere. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. So we got all this. Chest, we're gonna rotate it like we do when we're getting the train set up for a flight mode. Just pull it out, rotate it 180, boom. Sorry, not 180, but 90 degrees. And the forearms, you're gonna rotate with the kibble facing out. Open up these panels, flip the hand out, close the panel. Same thing here. The panel, flip out the hand. Come on, buddy. Click in place. All right, gotta get the kibble kind of set up here. All right. Okay, look at this. Finishing touch. These little white sections, they just flip down to form like little hip skirts. And we're done. We created Shouki in his robot mode. Look at that. I think he is a very, very impressive looking Trainbot. Now, he's got some inaccuracies to the old toy and the cartoon, but that's because, you know, he has to work as a masterpiece train, a masterpiece robot, and a combiner. So you'll see certain things like, you know, the train kibble on the arms that isn't normally there, and, you know, pretty sizable backpack. But I like him. I think for everything he has to do, he's got, you know, some really good proportions and, you know, good posability. So, you know, he's got a ball jointed head. He's got shoulders, which are universal. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got double bend elbows, which is nice for a Transformer. See that there? He has a wrist swivel. And then he's got very articulated hands. So the thumb hinges, and then the four fingers hinge with the pointer hinging separately, which is great for holding his weapon. We can do that right now. Just use that you know, standard masterpiece system of a tab going into a slot on the palm there. All right. So you can give his weapon, which looks awesome. And then we can also give him a shield, which is very, very cool. Like straighten everything out on this guy. There you go. All right. So to make the shield happen, you take the chest piece, flip it all the way out, and then you flip this little panel upward. It's got this little kind of hook on it. I'm sure we can see. It's going to slide onto this tab on the forearm kibble. It kind of slides right over it. Will pop off if you're not careful, but it stays on pretty well. So now we got him all armed up. Now back to the articulation. He has a waist swivel, which will be somewhat hindered by kibble, but not too bad. Universal hips, which, you know, he's got multiple little like skirt flaps and stuff to allow for movement. Thigh swivel, single bend knees, but they get a very, very deep bend, as you can see. And then he has ankle tilt. And a little bit of ankle rock, not much though, it's mostly the tilt. So yeah, really, really posable figure. Just awesome proportions, awesome accessories. I would say that despite the train mode having to, you know, look like a perfect model train, the robot mode ends up coming out very, very well. Which is something that is, you know, admittedly kind of surprising, but it ends up holding its own. One more thing I want to show off here before we do group shots and stuff. So the rifle has a bit of storage. You're going to bend the barrel inward. You're going to flip it around, and on the back of his right leg, you're going to use this tab on the black panel to plug it on there. And look at that, it works. You can also, you know, flip this bit down if you want to store the chest piece in there instead of the seats. I'm not going to do that because you already know what that looks like. But yeah, really, really cool. I'm very impressed with this guy. Actually, almost forgot, one more thing I wanted to show off for this. The kibble right here, this like side kibble, can be flared out and expanded like they show in the instructions. So you want to bring this smaller piece out the most, and then you take this little gun barrel looking thing and spread that out too. And you can do the same thing on this side. And it gives him a more winged-like appearance. Does kind of get in the way of his shield, which is a rather bulky piece for him. But yeah, you end up getting this, which I think looks a lot cooler. It gives him a very Gundam-esque look, where it looks like he has, you know, wings with like cannons and stuff on him. So this is going to be my preferred way of displaying him just at any point in robot mode, because it really makes him look just a lot more fleshed out and a lot more, you know, just kind of well-armed and dangerous. Now, one of the biggest questions that I and other people have had about these Trainbots is the question of scale. Where do these guys line up when it comes to, you know, your masterpiece, your generation shelf? And I think the best answer we can find really is in between. So the first comparison I want to do is our most modern Optimus Prime. This is the Legacy Laser Optimus Prime. And then an older Voyager figure from the Prime Wars era, which just also happens to be an Optimus Prime. And this is back when Voyagers tended to be, you know, taller and bulkier. So we can see that Shouki is a little bit taller. You know, I'm going by their head, not like shoulder pylons or anything. A little bit taller than our Laser Prime here. And just ever so slightly shorter than the Prime Wars one or the Combiner Wars one. So he fits pretty firmly in the Voyager size class. And I personally find that very fitting. Again, I'm not sure exactly how they depicted his size in the cartoon. I think they were trying to make him look to be about the same size as the Carbots, but realistically, you know, him turning into a bullet train like he does, you would expect him to be bigger. I mean, the other Trainbot that we have in Generations is Astro Train, and he is also a Voyager size, albeit a pretty tiny one, if you don't count his like little booster boots and stuff. Though at the same time, I do believe the train that Shouki turns into is larger than the old like coal or oil locomotive that Astro Train turns into. So, you know, it's a bit of a toss-up. You're never going to get, you know, a really perfect scale within the Generations line itself, and especially across multiple lines like, you know, Generations to Masterpiece or anything like that. As far as my personal preference and, you know, what I'm okay with seeing in my collection, I think he blends in with your Generations Voyagers very, very well. And I think Voyager is a good size class for this guy and his teammates. Because, again, they're trains. They should be big. And even though he is a masterpiece and is, far more posable than Generations toys and has a much more complex transformation, from just like a static appearance and everything, he blends in with them pretty well. Like, he would not look super out of place on a Generations shelf. So if you are somebody who doesn't normally collect Masterpiece, you might keep it more to like the retail level, but you really want these guys, I don't think you'll be disappointed with how they look compared to your other Chug figures, because, the scale's pretty good. And considering, Optimus Prime turns into a truck, and he turns into a train, the fact that he may be a little bit bigger than your Chug Optimus, whatever you're using for that, isn't really far-fetched at all. I think it works very well. Now here is a big group shot with 6 other Voyager-sized characters that combine into a combiner. This is, of course, our Combiner Wars Constructicons. And we can see that height-wise, Shouki fits right around the average of their heights. He's a little bit taller than a character like Scrapper, but then a little bit shorter than characters like Long Haul and Mixmaster over here. So, really fits right in there, with your other 3 guys being right about the same height as him. Now, what's interesting, however, 6 roughly Voyager-sized guys combining into a robot, same as Raiden. However, they form an 18-inch tall robot because, Combiner Wars Devastator was a Titan-class figure. Very big. Shouki, despite being about the same size as these guys, also combines with 5 other bots. But right now, the current estimates for the height of Raiden is about 11.5 inches. And to give you a perspective, that is right around the height of a standard Combiner Wars combiner, like the Scramble City types, your Menosaur, Superion. Their heights vary a little bit, but they're all right around 11.5 inches tall. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. It's almost kind of hard to believe that 6 Voyagers can make a combiner that's the same size as, 1 Voyager and 4 Deluxes. But that is the current estimate. Maybe it's wrong, I don't know. And that is something I do find a little bit odd, how you're going to end up with a combiner that by all rights should be taller than your standard combiners, but might end up being the same size as them. Now the Constructicons and, Devastator being 18 inches tall is a product of the fact that he is a Titan. In actuality, Devastator should be right around the same size as Scramble City combiners, if not a little bit bigger. But they wanted to fill the Titan class, so they made him big. Same thing that they did with Predaking, who should also be roughly the same size as most combiners, ends up being 18 inches tall. So if anything, the biggest scale issue just comes from, these guys and the Predacons. So I do find that interesting. I'm hoping the reports of Raiden only being, less than a foot tall are inaccurate and he ends up being a little bit bigger, because I do kind of expect him to, have some height on most other combiners that are made of things like cars and trucks when you have a 6-spot combiner made of trains. It would just make sense to me. We'll have to see, though. If it does end up being that short, there's going to be like some real shape-shifting magic going on there to make 6 of these guys turn into something that's, 2/3 the size of all these guys combined. It's really weird and very hard to imagine. And here's one more comparison shot, this time with some Masterpiece figures. And they're just, kind of your standard car Autobots, which are, generally considered your normal size robots. So we have our Masterpiece Prowl and our Masterpiece G2 Sideswipe. And you can see he's a fair bit taller than both of them. He doesn't tower over them, but he's probably more in line with the height of somebody like, say, Ironhide. Now, sadly, I don't have Masterpiece Ironhide, so I can't compare them. Though, actually, I think based on pictures I've seen, Ironhide might be taller. So he kind of falls somewhere in between, say, a car and truck-based Masterpiece toy. Now, I think that is smaller than he should be, based on his alt mode, but that may actually line up perfectly with how he's depicted in fiction. Again, scale never makes much sense in the Transformers world. You got a guy that turns into a spaceship becoming the arm for a guy that turns into, a military truck. So you gotta take things with a grain of salt sometimes. So he works, he fits in with a Masterpiece collection, I think, well enough. Not as big as I personally think he should be. I personally think he scales better with Generations in his robot mode. But, he is a masterpiece first and foremost, and as such, this is probably the scale he's meant to have. And looking at it that way, I think he looks pretty good in a masterpiece collection. And since they did it this way in the instructions, I'm going to do it this way here and transform him from the robot mode. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the hands again. So you're just going to open those panels up, flip the hands in. Yeah, by the way, you want to remove all of his accessories. So the blaster, the shield, even the seats, if you had them in there, they're going to be in the way. So you will have to remove those. All right. Flip the little shoulder pads up. Bring the arms up like this. And then out. So you're going to do that. And you are going to bring these out as well. Let's see. Flip those this way. Everything's nice and pretty. Do all that. All right. So you're just kind of bringing the arms out, just like so. Nothing fancy. Then we're going to disconnect the train nose, that's what we're going to call it, from the little hook. Get the hook out of the way. We're going to pull all this away. Fold this back a bit. And then fold the shoulder kibble in. Spin around at this waist joint. And we're going to do some stuff here. We're going to extend this all back out for the time being. Just kind of get it up and out of the way. And push the head in. Undo these tabs to lift the arm assemblies up. Like so. Good. Spin this around 180. And spin this area. Just like that. Alright. So, bring this back down, tab the shoulder plugs back in here, like so. Alright, now we're just going to kind of leave the arms alone for a moment. And you do some things here. There's going to be some new stuff going on here. So the first thing, we're looking at this, we're going to lift the nose of the train up like so. Gonna collapse all this down. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna lift this up and rotate it. There we go. Then collapse this inward. Push this back, and we're gonna push all this in like that. It's on a little slide there, so just push it in. These little pieces right here may end up folding in on you as you're messing with this. You just want to try to keep them out if you can. All right, so we do all that. And we are going to take this panel, flip this up out of the way, and you want these little tabs here to plug into little slots on the top of this guy. Like so. And you bring this down right at this hinge right here. So not this one, but this one. Get that straight, bring this hinge all the way down, and you're gonna let these holes go over these little tabs or plugs. Push them together. Bit of resistance on these, but they will go. Make sure the other tabs stay in. All right, so we got all this going on, all right? Not too shabby. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna bend the double bend elbows like all the way in, where they pretty much collapse down, and then swing the arms inward like this. And you want these to be at a point where these little clear tabs are just past this whole like shoulder apparatus. Like so. Can you see that? Alright, so that's how you want them to go. The same thing on this side. Bend it down, fold it in. Try not to untab that. There we go. All right. So we got all this going on. I'm going to try to keep all this stuff up and out of the way for now. These are actually going to fold back out. I'm not sure what the purpose of doing that is, but the instructions tell you to do it. All right, so now you have these little inner hook assembly things. And you're going to kind of bring them up and fold them in twice to where they're going over the arms. And there are these little like fish hook-like things on them. And they're going to go in here. Oh, actually, first, we've got to fold these blue panels in. There you go. Fold the panels in. Now, they're going to grip right in here. And they're going to grip pretty hard. Which, it's not so hard getting them in there, but it's kind of hard getting them back out when you want to come out of this mode. But you'll feel it click into place. So you're going to do that on both sides. Get in there until it really bites down. All right. So we got all that. Now we can fold the shoulder panels down, like so. A lot of moving parts, so you may have to adjust things as you go. All right. Now the legs, you're going to bring them all the way back and fold them up like a 90 here, and you're going to tab the feet together. Do little tabs that mesh together here. All right. These things stay out, so these like to go back in. All right. Those stay out. There you go. Now you got these little panels. It might be kind of hard to get out, especially the first time. But you want to kind of grip them right here with your fingernail. Just keep pulling at them until they come all the way out like so. And the other side. Bring these little blaster things up. Bring these up at a diagonal. Look nice and cool. Almost done. Now we are going to take the shield / chest plate, make sure it's completely unfolded and that this little tab thing is out. You're gonna hook it in here and then plug into this round, or well, plug onto this round peg right there. So you hook in. Doesn't want to hook in. Hook in. Do what I say. There we go. All right, that should push in. Make sure everything is nice and squared away. This isn't not everything is going to completely lock into place. At least not yet. I'm hoping, when you get the completed combiner, it will. All right. And this is what we end up with. Here is our chest area right here. Oh, it's coming down a little bit. Again, you're going to want to kind of adjust things as you go to get it nice and neat. All right, so we got this. Now, it's no fun just, holding this thing like that. So what you can do is you take your little base adapter thingy, and you slide it onto this little guide rail right here. Almost like a DIN rail for my electrically inclined peeps out there. All right, so you get on there, and then we take our train track display base thingy, and we just plug it right on there. Put this back on. All right, check it out. So now you can display this piece all by itself if you just really want to show that off. It is pretty cool looking and does hint at this being a pretty good sized combiner, which again, I'm having a hard time believing this is only going to be the size of a Scramble City bot, because look, this is just the upper torso area, and that's pretty decent size on its own. So, we'll have to wait and see, but I am liking what I see so far. Now, it is a shame that there's not really any storage for the, blaster or the seats or anything. I mean, you might be able to find a way to squeeze them in there, but nothing official. And I think, for the most part, they'll really just be in the way. But aside from that, I really do like the way this came out. It's interesting because it's mostly symmetrical, which is, kind of something you want, but then it has little hints of asymmetry, like having this door right here, having, the little dorsal fin-like thing on one side, but not the other. Little, hints that this is a train that is basically folded up into a ball, more or less. So I think it's really cool looking. It has that, nice symmetrical design that makes him look humanoid, but also looks like it's made out of a real train. So I'm all for it. Again, it's hard to envision how this thing's going to connect to other bots in the future once we get the other 5. I'm hoping that, whatever the combination entails, it will lead to a more stable torso, because a lot of stuff's just kind of free-floating. Like this chest area, like it's kind of held in by these blue panels, but you can still turn it quite a bit. This is all kind of moving around, and, there's a lot of play here, and hopefully there will be a way to get rid of that, because right now it's quite a lot. And this completes our look at Masterpiece Shouki. I gotta say, I'm very impressed with this. Having not purchased a Masterpiece toy in a long time, I did very much find myself enjoying this guy. Now, he's got a pretty involved transformation. He's quite complex, because he needs to be. He does a lot of things all at once. But I like him. I think the train mode looks fantastic. It's incredibly detailed, very, very lifelike. I like the fact that you get a choice between having realistic seats stored inside the train so you can have passengers, or having a choice to, keep the chest plate or shield piece stored inside for, easy accessory storage. And of course, the weapon stores underneath. So the train is great. The fact that it comes on a track and it's, a standardized model train scale, which was, kind of the whole point, right? It was a big celebration of trains in Japan. They love the trains over there. So these guys are trains first and foremost. So then the fact that you can take that train mode, as nice as it is and proportional, and then turn it into this really awesome looking robot mode, I mean, it's very impressive. I got to give them props for pulling this off, because I think Shouki looks great. He's got a lot more kibble than the toy typically did and the, character model did. But, let's be honest about the G1 cartoon. It cheated all the time. It just made kibble and vehicle parts disappear like magic. So in light of that, I think, they did an amazing job with what they had to do. Now we get to the chess mode. I think it looks good. The transformation's interesting. It's not very secure, right? There's a lot of give to it, a lot of moving parts still, a lot of things that I had hoped or thought would tab in together that really don't. Now that may just be because it's incomplete. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm really hoping that once you get the other pieces, everything kind of locks together more tightly and you get this really stable combiner. Because it's going to need to be. Even if it only ends up being about the height of a Scramble City combiner, it's going to be far heavier, because there's a lot more parts and engineering to each one of these guys. There's 6 bots. It's going to need stability. And that's where I'm a bit skeptical. How much is the payoff going to be? Because, it's great to get a Shouki and, just have him looking cool in the vehicle mode and robot mode. But the main draw of this is the combiner, right? That's the whole thing. It's an MPG, right? It's a Gattai masterpiece. And a lot of people have been wanting a Raiden or a Raiden update for a long time. And, I'm skeptical. I'm a little concerned. It's a lot of weight they got to balance out, and not every combiner is a win. Not every combiner is very stable. And I would hope for what we're going to end up paying for this, which will be probably around $1,000 total. I got this guy, I think, for about $135 from Amazon Japan. That's like with shipping and everything. Some people are going to pay more, like we pay importers to bring them in. It's going to run a very pretty penny. And if the finished product isn't up to snuff, it's not going to feel worth it, and it's going to make me really regret putting the money down on masterpieces again, because I told myself I was done, but I also never thought that they were actually going to tackle combiners, especially one as obscure and as cool as Raiden. So, I'm taking the plunge, I'm gambling here, hoping that it's going to work out. We'll just have to wait and see. But what we get so far, I will say, is very impressive, and it gives me some hope that they're going to pull this thing off. So I very much recommend this guy if you are, able to afford Masterpiece and you're into Masterpiece. Even if Masterpiece isn't really your thing, say you're just like a chug collector, but you have the funds, I think this guy works very, very well in a Generations collection. I think he scales well, he looks good, the aesthetics are there. Obviously he's more complex, but just looking at him on a shelf, he blends right in. So, Yeah, I really think a lot of people can get a lot out of this guy just by himself or with his teammates. If you're a model train enthusiast, that's another reason to pick him up. Like if you like Transformers and model trains, because he's 2-in-1, and the train mode and the track are very, very good. They'll scale with other trains, they're compatible with them, so that's really neat. There's a lot to like about this guy. The price tag is pretty steep. He is about the size of, a car Autobot, like Masterpiece scale, but costs a lot more than most of them because of all his engineering and everything, plus the general increase in prices. So cost of mission is high, but if you can afford it, I think you'll be very, very happy with this guy. Of course, that is just how I feel about Shouki, so now I want to know what you all think of this toy. Does this live up to your expectations? Have you been thinking about getting him but have been hesitant to pull the trigger? Or you're all in and you really want to pick him up? Or do you not want this? Either because the price tag, you don't like Masterpiece stuff, or maybe you went in on that third-party one, because I've been hearing a lot of good things about it. I personally, it's just kind of outside my purview, but I don't begrudge anyone for, going with third-party if they think it's going to be better, and a lot of times cheaper than Takara Masterpiece as well. I know, Kato's collection, he, I think, just finished assembling that combiner, so if you're not already subscribed to him, I would go check him out and, see his reviews on it and see what you think, how, the individual bots compare, how the finished product is, and how, you think this is going to stack up to that. Any and all feedback, as always, is welcome in that comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this very interesting and very cool look at the brand new Masterpiece Gattai Shouki. With all that said, I will see you next time.